too proud of this podcast you've constructed. The ability to rank content is insignificant next to the power of an exceptional hot take.
All right, it is hot takes time, and I've got one. I had one, but we had a conversation today, and I've come up with another one. This is just my personal bias, if you will. Okay, there's no fact behind this, in my opinion. Maybe there is. Maybe there's something factual out there I haven't read yet. But from where I stand as a fanboy, if Bo-Katan and Boba Fett were to ever duke it out, I'm just saying, yeah, Boba Fett would have a couple scratches, but it'd be one of those like, all that for a drop of blood. And Boba Fett would, take her out. So that's my hot take.
I don't think it's that much of a hot take. I think because Chaco and I deal with like the versus community a lot in terms of like who would win in a lightsaber duel. It's not a binary thing. They win or they win.
Sure.
They've fought this person before and won, so therefore
yeah.
vis-a-vis concordantly.
Yeah.
It's always about the story of the fight and where that person is on that day. And I like to cite Hunter x Hunter. If you're unfamiliar, that's an anime. And this kid is training to fight a much more powerful and older competitor, and their mentor is like, it's never about who's more powerful. It's about where that person is on any given day mentally, because the strongest person in the world can lose to the weakest person in the world on their worst day. And everybody has bad days. So Superman has lost to Batman, but that doesn't mean Batman can take on all of the deities in DC. It's just, that's the situation. That's the story that was told. He was prepared for it. So
yeah, it's like what is Boba Fett and Bo-Katan fighting over?
Yeah, this is just
That's
like in my head,
important, too.
we're gonna go like super 5-year-old here. You got two characters on Super Smash Brothers Star Wars Edition, and that's what this is. One of them is just clearly like everyone's like, "Oh, you're gonna use that character, really, Boba?"
Kirby.
Okay. Yep, you're going. That's where you're going. Okay, got it. He's using Boba, y'all. Clearly, he can't play the game. That's where I'm leaning. He's just
if Bo-Katan's using the Darksaber.
No, all right, hold on now. Hold on
Next
now.
level stuff.
Yeah, that's
like I'll give Boba Fett like the bounty hunter tricks of the trade, like fighting dirty, and then I'll give Bo-Katan like the traditional techniques, and it's like the boxer versus the MMA.
Great point.
And if this is a boxing match, Bo-Katan wins. If this is an MMA match, Boba wins.
Well, if you also look at their fighting style, like again, very like especially the Mando season 2, Tamara Morrison fighting with just brute force, just crushing the helmets of the stormtroopers, whereas Bo-Katan's not really heavy punches by any means. In fact, they're pretty light, but everything's about precision.
Surgical.
And so when she's hitting like that creature or whatever, hits right in the throat with a blade, and everything's fast hits, really, really as you mentioned, technique. And so again, it's kind of like fighting Fox versus Bowser in Smash Bros. Is kind of what I'm thinking of it. Where like, yeah, Fox is certainly faster and effective at building up those high points, but if Bowser lands that big hit, she's done.
So I think you answered your own question, and I'm going to say milk toast.
Yeah, I think that's what he says too.
Yeah.
Christian, is that where you're leaning?
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel
Yeah.
that's probably fair. I thought that was something.
Hey,
Is milk toast.
All right, who's got the next take?
I'll go. You were already kind of talking about this, Amanda. My hot take is Mando and Bo-Katan should get married, and they're a better couple than Rey and Kylo.
You added that. She would have been bought in until you added that last piece.
I don't know if that was
Whoa.
if people would have jumped on board for the hot take. I was like, just to further make it a hot
Yeah.
take or provocative.
Yeah.
I think you have to say like better than X.
Yes.
Wow. How do we even start breaking down
This
that
is how
one?
I picture it going down, because we both love these characters and we kind of want to see them both with the Darksaber, but Bo-Katan's great with it. But we don't want to see him fight for the Darksaber, right?
Yeah.
So
Oh, no,
what's
yeah.
the workaround?
So just kiss.
Just kiss. Just get married. And it makes for a great dynamic. Like, you have differing beliefs, and so it makes room for like an interesting spicy marriage. You know, you're gonna fight about certain things, how to raise your kids, you know, when you're gonna go to Sunday church or
this guy.
Sabbath or nothing at all or whatever. But you can rally behind the shared value of Mandalore, that church.
I'm gonna
And
say it's a
so-
hot take. I'm voting it down.
Okay.
It is a hot take.
Hot dog. I finally got a hot take.
I finally got one.
Unless Element 7 already thought of this and it's milk toast to you.
Leia's only hope wrote in the comments, I want Mando and the lady he meets and helps save the village with in season 1.
I'm with
And
that too.
Oh,
I am
that
with
works
that.
too. That works
The
too.
widow? Yeah.
Yeah. I forgot about her.
That is, yeah. She's a good contender too. Milk toaster hot take. See, it would be a hot take if I didn't also agree that like everything else is a better love story than Reylo. It's kind of like still
Okay,
better
so
love
that
story
had
than
the
Reylo was
Twilight.
opposite
story
effect
that
of what I
never
was going
really
for.
Happened, yeah.
Slash that from my hot take.
What do you think, Amanda?
I'm gonna say it's a hot take, and I'm just gonna agree. I'm just gonna be chaotic and agree.
What?
So we have a universe. So there's a tie. So comment section. Let us know what you think. We'll give you a score in a second. Want to see what the comments say. We'll have to lean on the fans
Oh,
here. 'cause
Hyperspace Hero. Come on, guys.
they said milk toast too. So we'll see. We'll see. But we'll see.
We'll
It was
see.
a good take. It was an
Okay.
interesting take.
Okay, I don't know if I even have a hot take, but I just have like an idea, a suggestion, if you will.
Yeah.
I wish there was like a post-credit scene after every episode of The Mandalorian that's just like some really short, like 30-second clip, and it could be like we jump back to Pelimoto and she just like is in bed with a Jawa or something smoking a cigarette, or like just something like really like this weird little exclamation point at the end of the episode. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, so are you primarily going for like the surprising comedic factor?
Yes.
Like not
Yeah.
like serious, epic, whatever.
Yeah, like it could be the end of the episode and a main character just dies and the credits all roll.
Oh,
and it's just
yeah.
like the stupid moment.
You could make it work. Yeah.
I would like to see it.
I'm gonna vote that down too. You really are really just going into this sitcom format.
I like
With
to laugh.
Andor, no. I don't know. I'd have to see it to see what happens, but
So
I
as
think
it
you could
stands
make
now.
it work. I think you could make it work.
But as it stands right now with this current show,
Maybe not the specific cigarette and Jawa in bed and everything, but I think
down the road maybe.
Mandalorian has already shown like you can have light comedy in it and it works. They go for light comedy and camp and
It
like
could just be like a forgotten scene,
Yeah.
like when R5 goes down to like meet those, what are they
I
called?
think-
Alamites.
Alamites. I
It
totally
could have
see
been
what
like
you're
an
saying.
awkward moment, and then that's why he didn't end up finding him. There.
Yeah.
You know, like just a weird deleted scene.
Oh yeah, I see it. You can make it work.
All right, so I say no. Christian, is that a yes?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
All right, Element, where do you
Well,
stand?
hot take.
I'll say
I don't know
yes.
if it's a hot
Yeah.
take, but it
He
could work.
agrees.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a simmering take.
Good job.
Sizzling.
Someone's getting hot.
Oh, simmering new category.
Oh, Hyperspace Heroes with Amanda is
There you
100
go.
on
All
her
right,
take.
With
Give
you.
it to
Amanda-
me.
You got people
Amanda-
agreeing with you.
Yeah. The old Roger Roger. Okay. Element, what is your take? If you got one.
Let's see. I can always go with the gray Jedi aren't possible.
Yeah.
I don't know how hot of a take that is, but I think I'll go with the majority of people who are drawn to the Sith don't know how the Force works.
Oh, can you explain a little bit more?
Um,
Wow.
well, for the most part, it really depends on why you're drawn to the Sith, but a lot of people think that the light side is a monastic decision. Like you're like, oh, I'm gonna be a Buddhist monk and be free of emotion and not eat meat or something. But
Mhm.
in actuality, there's the duality exists for the purposes of the narrative where you have the good and the bad. It's fine. We can see in gray all the time. It's necessary for the real world to see in shades, right? But for the purposes of Star Wars, it is essentially a good and bad duality. And when when you talk about the Jedi and people who serve the light that aren't the Jedi, most people think that is extreme, and they are drawn to the Sith because they represent the freedom to feel things and the freedom to have emotion. But the reality is the light side is just being normal. The light side is at its core serving life. So us here, you guys sitting there having some dark thoughts here and there, eating meat or doing whatever going on with your life, that's all light side. So you don't have to like extremely go on the opposite end of the spectrum to have your cake and eat it. And so everybody thinks that the light is being a Jedi. So I don't want to be like in an order where like we have to be so controlling of our emotions and our attachments. I'm going to be a Sith, which means you kidnap children and you genocide planets and you spend every hour of the day thinking about conquest and backstabbing people.
Mhm.
And you also have to spend every hour of the day thinking about who's going to backstab you, because that's the entirety of the Sith code, right? So yes, our food analogies.
Yes.
So
Okay.
yeah.
So I want to preface for everyone who already doesn't know by listening to this episode, this man knows a lot more about Star Wars than I do. All that to be said, with what I know to this day, I'm down to be educated, but I'm going to disagree.
Oh,
Yeah, because I'm in a disagreeable mood today.
okay.
And no, no, maybe help me understand this then. Because my understanding is that the Jedi, while being normal, it's kind of like they are almost like a recovering addict of some kind. You're allowed to enjoy life, but there's so many things you just have to be void of. Like no real intimacy with others. Don't form any strong relationships. Don't have any of these things that could pull you to the dark side. But those are like you're saying the best fruits of life we have to be void of in the pursuit of, I guess, in their mind, righteousness or whatever it is. And so that's what makes obviously the pull to the dark side appealing. But my question is, and you're saying the gray couldn't be possible. I don't know why that is. And I'm sure there's a great reason. But to me, it's where it's like, there's got to be something where these are the best. I mean, again, going on these like religious themes, like a lot of Christians and other like the most religions in the world will say, yeah, love is one of these fruits of the spirit. It's this really positive thing, and the Jedi are this one religion where they're like, nope, not that. And the Sith are like, come here, we've got love and a whole lot of other crazy kid killing activities too. I'm like, there's got to be some middle. There's got to be something else.
So there is a middle, which is what the place where the Bendu resides. I'm the one in the middle, the Bendu. It's
Mhm.
neither Ashla or Bogan. But the thing is, seeing in shades of gray, it all happens on the light side. The only reason that duality exists, light side and dark side, is because George Lucas wanted to create a red versus blue. He
Yeah.
wanted to create a good versus bad. But if you're on the light, that doesn't mean you're a hippie or you see sunshine and rainbows all the time.
Mhm.
You can see the shades of gray. You can be morally gray and still be serving life. That's the only thing that the light side denotes is are you serving life or are you selfish and taking from life?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you don't need to be a Jedi to serve the light, and you don't need to be an extremely monastic, devoid of emotion person to serve the light. You could be Hondo serves the light, which is an odd thing to think about. Scoundrels serve the light, so long as they're not, murdering, going on a murder spree.
Mm.
But the thing about the Jedi is that they're not devoid of all of these things. It's they're just kind of steered away from it to help them stave off the temptations of the dark side, because as a force sensitive, the temptations are that much worse.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
if you take someone that is not force sensitive and they get angry, that's not going to fester.
Well,
Someone who is force sensitive is going to fester in that.
it's
It's going
interesting
to twist
because,
them.
well, like like Anakin's passion, love for Padme, and the fear that was accompanied with it of losing her is what led to all of these horrible events. And maybe Obi-Wan, there's love maybe stepped in where he could have been a better a figure and could have reported things, but didn't because he loved Anakin and whatever. But it's that same love that got Darth Vader to save his son and ultimately pull away from his boss. So there's something there where it's just interesting. We don't have there's so much to unpack with all that.
I will say attachment is one of those things that largely gets misunderstood as well, because the attachments are inherent with the way that the Jedi Order is already structured. You have attachments with your master and your Padawan and your younglings. The only thing that the Jedi Order ever really teaches you is to be mindful of them and to let go, so that when you lose someone, it doesn't control you, and it doesn't kind of send you in a downward spiral where the dark side can grab onto you. So it's kind of like I like to say Ahsoka had done the most Jedi thing possible by leaving the Order.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Because that is an attachment.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's true. What do you two think of this?
Whew.
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack. Like, we have talked a lot about kind of this. We debated that take before, by just like, are Jedi toxic or not, or whatever, and all that stuff. And yeah, I agree a lot of with what you're saying, Element 7. There is a desired middle, there's a desired balance. And I think especially Luke Skywalker in, the expanded universe, he definitely pulled more for a middle, well-balanced light side of the force with his new Jedi Order. He recognized kind of the downfalls of strict legalism. And so I agree with a lot of what you're saying there. And to get back to your take, what was it? The Sith don't understand the Force?
Or the people that are fans of the Sith don't really understand.
I would say, I think I said the majority of people who are drawn to the Sith don't understand how the Force works.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that, kind of like you were saying, also with the fighting, the verses, whatever, it depends on a certain given day, because on Anakin's worst day, the appeal to the dark side of the Sith was much more than the light side of losing Padme or whatnot. And so, not to justify the Sith or anything and anything bad like that, but there's a complexity to seeing that attraction of like giving into your emotions or acknowledging that you can have emotions. And there's a book, The Lost Tribe of the Sith Expanded Universe, and like it explores a lot of just how the Sith operate, and a lot of it is just being pessimistic about your own power, losing your own power. And yeah, it's very focused on self. it's like they're all focused on your big self-help book, and it's like self-help can only help you so much. It's like, let's be giving and generous, of our time and energy. So I think I agree with most of what you're saying, but yeah.
I'm gonna give him a Roger.
All right. Then the consensus is in. After that conversation,
I will say, a lot of times the Jedi are lumped in together
Mhm.
with a particular take, but everyone's different.
Yeah.
Right. We have people like Qui-Gon and Quinlan Vos who are rogues in their thinking. But if you think that the Jedi are all like singular thinking and dogmatic and indoctrinated, when you have people like Count Dooku and Quinlan Vos and Qui-Gon that are coming out of that kind of education system thinking the way they do,
Mhm.
and you kind of realize, well, how is it churning out critical thinkers and people who disagree?
yeah. Wow, this was a very packed hot take segment. And I love the progression of Super Smash Brothers that just fight each other and
So,
boom,
like,
boom. So-
what is the gray area of life?
Like, wow, there's really no transition naturally.